Hello, everybody. From the Spark Storybook Bible, I'm going to read to you the story of Lazarus, and you'll find that on page 354. Three of Jesus' good friends included a man named Lazarus and his sisters Mary and Martha. Jesus was on a long journey when he found out that Lazarus was dying. It took Jesus a few days to travel to see his sick friend. When Jesus arrived, he saw Lazarus' sister, Martha. She had some sad news. "Jesus, Lazarus is dead," cried Martha. "I wish you could have arrived earlier. You might have been able to save him." Jesus tried to comfort her. "Martha, don't be sad. Lazarus will live again." Martha believed what Jesus said. Then Lazarus' other sister, Mary, came to greet Jesus. She wished Jesus had come sooner too. "Jesus, if you had been here, Lazarus might still be alive." And she cried. She also believed that Jesus could have healed her brother. Jesus was sad because Lazarus died too. He cried. Jesus, Martha, and Mary went to the tomb where Lazarus was buried. Jesus told some people standing there, "Take the stone away from the tomb." The people were surprised at what Jesus said. Martha reminded Jesus that Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. They had already made his body ready for burial by wrapping it in special cloths. But Jesus knew what he was doing. He insisted that they open up the tomb. When the heavy stone was rolled away, Jesus said, "Lazarus, come out." The people were frightened and amazed when Lazarus came out of the tomb. Since his hands and feet were all wrapped up in the burial clothes, the people had to help Lazarus. When the people saw Lazarus alive again, they laughed and sang and danced. Many people that day believed Jesus would bring new life to all people. And the book I'd like to read to you tonight is called Our Tree Named Steve. It's written by Andy Zweibel. Dear kids, a long time ago, when you were little, Mom and I took you to where we wanted to build a house for us to live in. But in order to build there, men had to come and clear the land. I remember there was one tree, however, that the three of you couldn't stop staring at. Adam thought it was crying. Lindsay said it looked nervous. And Sari, who was only 2 years old, couldn't pronounce the word tree, and she called it Steve. "I love you, Steve," she kept saying. And then Adam and Lindsay started saying it too. And before too long, Mom and I got the hint and asked the builder to please save Steve. The day we moved in, Steve was there to greet us. He quickly worked his way into your lives as a swing holder, target, third base, hiding place, and jump rope turner. And whenever our dryer broke down, he held our underwear with pride. Yes, right there in the center of our yard, this weird-looking tree grew to become the center of our outdoor life. Through all our barbecues, campouts, and dance parties, or when Adam and Lindsay started getting crushes on the Simon kids next door, Steve adjusted to our every need. And it wasn't always easy, standing tall through snowstorms in the winter. Or when Uncle Chester napped in the hammock. Couldn't possibly have been fun. Not to mention the time the sewer overflowed and Steve sucked up all the smelly water before it drowned Kirby. Then got so sick himself that the tree doctor had to give Steve a haircut that made him look like a big thumb. Through the years, Mom and I have tried to show you, in a world filled with strangers, the peace that comes with having things you can count on and a safe place to return to after a hard day or a long trip. Which brings me to the point of this letter. Last week, a storm hit our area. And though we spared Steve's life a long time ago, this time we couldn't save him. Are we sad? Sure we are. But even in his final moments, when he could have fallen on our house, Sari's swings, Kirby's house, or Mom's garden, Steve performed his last trick and protected all of us to the very end. And friends like this are hard to find. So when you come home from Grandma's next week, Steve will not be able to greet you as he's done in the past. I'm sorry. But please know that Steve will always be with us, in our hearts, in our thoughts. And in a different tree at the other end of our yard. See you next week. Love, Dad. So just like Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, their tree died in a storm, and yet they have all those wonderful memories, and they'll probably plant other trees, and they'll be able to make even more memories. So with Jesus, death is never the last word. Life, eternal life, is always the last word with Jesus in heaven. So we can live now knowing that this earth is not our final home. It's just a place to rest. Sleep in peace tonight. God is awake. Good night.